the word. This October is dedicated to ladies. It is for the ladies month. And today our topic for discussion is on sex before marriage. Yes, sex before marriage. An interesting topic that always catches our attention. Sex before marriage or premarital sex. Yes. In today's discussion, we will try as much as possible to look out for the causes of this premarital sex, then the effects of it, and what the Bible really says about it. Some people think sex before marriage isn't sin, and there is no biblical quotations or anything biblically wrong about it. We will delve into it and see whether it is true or not. Then we will try and then bring out some preventive measures to help control this problem. Yes. So we will start. Thank you very much for joining us. Sex and sexuality has been perverted like many of God's creation. We live in a society where sexual activities can be seen in every space and in every advertisement that we make. Sex has become a god. God, yes, God, a small god in our culture. People worship this God as if it's as a holding their life together. They can't live without this God. Perhaps it has become the biggest God of all in our time, this generation. This little God has become the biggest God in this 21st century generation, and it is something else. The radio pays homage to this God. Turn on any given radio station that plays music, be it pop, rap, high life, country music, and all you will hear in their songs are dedicated to the worship of this God, which is sex. Everything in songs now is so, I say, like, where the wedding, everything in it is geared towards sex. If you look on the televisions now, TV, it is no different. Just turn your TV to any, and you will see movies, documentaries, a whole lot, even cartoons. You will find numerous references, if not an entire episode dedicated to this God, sex. So you see, we find this God at every point in time in our lives. So now, even though at first, Jesus no, but now, even little, small girls are so much into it that they cannot leave this God and then focus on their life. They would rather worship this God as if their life depended on it. Most movies have this disclaimer: warning, strong sexual content. And if you are not 18 or 16 years, you cannot watch this movie. Why? We always draw people's attention to this God. And we have so much been influenced that we cannot live without it. Sex, apart from marriage, has become widely accepted not only in Western societies as approaching Kwarano, but even in a supposedly Christian nation. And what near the traditional settings of as is here, you see young people, young girls engaging in this God. And sometimes we wonder why. And the most as in the near young pono now is in the churches. Sex has become a part in our church now. Young people, young ladies are engaging in it left, right, and center without even blinking an eye. Should it be so? People think sex isn't sinful and that there isn't any biblical quotations or something about it. In this discussion, we will try as much as possible to find out what the Bible says about sex before marriage. Yes. Unquestioned acceptance of both premarital sex and extramarital sex, but here we are concentrating on premarital sex. It has become part of our culture's value. Now, it is, I said, it is even the one on the list. It is reinforced people and criticized by almost no one. Why have we become so obsessed with sex? Why are young ladies of today become in our conversations? Sex has taken the place of God in the hearts of young people. Sex has taken the place of God in the hearts of young ladies. Young ladies today do not care compromising on their values just to satisfy that sexual urge. Yes, sadly, the lost church has not been spared of this. Is it yes, pandemic? Yes, pandemic. If you go to any branch of the church, it is there, and we do not see anything wrong with it. Yes, even if you see anything wrong with it, you dare not speak about it because now it has become part of us. Our psychological stage of development makes many of these young ladies very susceptible to this sexual sense. Yes, it is not our fault. It is our being that is calling for. And should we satisfy it just because it is calling for? In our discussion, you learn about it. Premarital sex, if engaged in it, dampens the spirit or favor of God or the Holy Spirit in you. Do you prefer taking out the Spirit of God from you just to enjoy that 2 minutes or let's say 30 minutes pleasure of sex or in sex? Do you prefer walking about in this world without any protection from God just to satisfy the physiological or the feelings na ɛwɔ mu no? Is it so? Should that be the case? No. In this presentation, as I said earlier, we will look at the causes of premarital sex. So, what are the causes of premarital sex? We have two main causes: environmental stimulation, and that is what we discussed. What we see around us has made us so privy to it. Now you see people engaging in it without even fearing that someone is going to see them more. And then internal pressures, internal pressure. So environmental stimulation and then internal or pressures from the homes or within us or anywhere. So let's look at the environmental stimulations. If you look at our social settings, say share your one. Everything about us now is about sex. Social media, whatever you see is sexual activities. And then most of us soak it in us, even against our will. Well, what phone no cry was okay ya na ba. Then you and if you are not careful, you become so much into it that to make one show. Yes. So our social atmosphere, that is our social space, media, fashion, language, cuisines, herbal industries is so sexually motivated. Most of us soak it in us so deep that we cannot even come out of it. And sometimes it is against our will. Should it be so? These images, in addition to enticing us to sin, also reduces the dangers of casual sex or the causal sex, which fuel our unrealistic expectations about what sex should be. Sexual convenience, modernization, and then sisi anase tisa adrenal mouth you get the avenue to do it. We have improvement in hospitality industry now. Say Uni obi mpo and share room. Na say about person, you can move out, go and then rent a hotel or a guest house, and then do whatever you want. And so first, guest house in hotel near the end, and then shut down cheap, sir. But now the avenue is there. You can afford at any given point in time. So it's there to use. So you also use. Some people do not even mind using their cars. Yes, some people do it in their cars. Wow, dear no uria so uria no cry, we are in a modernized or in a you do it in a car. And after you feel so proud that you've done something like that and you enjoy it. Sex is for enjoyment, I tell you. But I say we are whole year into no your crown, the real feelings now you are supposed to get. In the biani ye dada. Compounding the problem is the availability and accessibility of methods of contraceptives and prevention of STIs. And can you say, oh dear, first no ukoye premarital sex ni say first naka family planning ni contraceptives ni adi na company for na yeton mo and so see as little as 10 years akwara 12 years 13 years you see them buying these contraceptives, you see young people buying condoms, buying these contraceptives and then using them. Because you see, an eye cheap and it is in abundance. You get it anywhere. So, if these are there, what is stopping me from doing it? It means that now it is generally acceptable. So, let me do it and go. That is how our society has become. Once the fear of pregnancy and infections are removed because of this usage of contraceptives, we tend to forget or the fear of pregnancy and catching AIDS or infecting ourselves with STIs is no more there. You see, phone strumpo say me koyema koyem na menyim a menim begu ase ana say me koyem po a menya AIDS ana menya gono ana menya asisi ano because of contraceptives na yenya nti ho say ye chinema ne ye ko no nya ohia no condom. And in your here new personal too was a personal. And it's funny how young Christian ladies are using these things, are buying these things just because you want to satisfy that 2 minutes or 30 minutes sexual urge in you. We are no I when name senya. I say when no huama, but then you go back to it. Should it be like that? Now our values, the values Christian ladies now hold, has become something. Values no class ye ni bi omo kire ye kwa. If you ask a Christian lady, a young lady, what are your values about sex? What are your values in life? The things these girls will tell you, you wonder. Premarital sex has been watered down to the extent that it is no longer a taboo. As you see, I don't know boyfriend wo na say one na have sex cry as a model mo new relationship in your relationship cry na mo wom no. That is how they see you. Nkofo almost your relationship. Are they really in a serious relationship? That is what you get. If people see young ladies or young guys who are not into this small god, they think these people are Asomwejimi. They are not wise. They are not humans. Sex has become part of us to the extent that we see nothing wrong with it, and that those who do not even engage in it are being called names, forgetting that there is a God somewhere that is watching us. Sexual restrictions have lessened. Nka first no pa wo young girl. Oye die na wo pie se wo sra wo boy. Hey, aha. Nka wo hwan kra na akokra na akaka che ne se wo sra bema. Enya wo boy mpo wo sra bema. Na kam to wa ka se wo sra wo boy. Hey. It can have koto ade aba. No baba no mustigate anu otwen wo. Now parental care, restrictions on sex, sexual standards have loosened. Like it's of no value. And sexual expectations have become more liberal. I say ebusua bia na ne die, ebusua bia ne the values on sexual expectations. And so nka first ne ka so bad die, usie ohun ni abeware wo na ukọ fear, then your husband will enjoy. Now, mothers are even pushing their daughters to go and visit their boyfriends. As you are even telling them that you don't even add. If you go, don't do it. Oh, now this thing. Now this thing. Look, we are even pushing them to go into it. To the point that now celebrities has become role models for young ladies. These same people promoting this sexual or premarital sex are now the role models of Christian ladies. My lady, pick a good role model. Pick a good role model. Most young people enter into sexual relationship with inaccurate or inadequate knowledge of the emotional and physical consequences. Yes, some people do not know anything, virtually anything about premarital sex or even sex. So they always fall, they I say like they use them. Or no nimtino. Mepano omo da omo. It is about time we take our ladies through these lessons. As it did be a premarital sex. But as to us teaching these young ones what to do when the situation arises, we have stopped. And now it has become part of us, even in the church. Like, it's something. If you look at if you see what these young ones are doing, all because of ignorance. Yes, that is how I see it. Some of them are so naive. They don't know the consequences of it. Inadequate. So any maneuvering by these young guys, they fall prey to they just fall for it. Globalization. is seriously eroding our time-tested cultural values. Kagana for and especially in relation to sanctity and propriety of sex. Nka sex dear. So when you look at the internal pressure, the internal pressures from internal. It can be from our homes, from our friends, from ourselves. Given the packaging and then branding of sex in our culture now, or on our televisions, or everywhere around us, especially young people, are so intrigued and made to feel as if they are missing out something that needs to be tried. Yes, that is how the thing is. They've created the thing, like they've made the thing. I'm definitely now young ladies feel that I say they are missing out. I'm missing out. So curiosity, because of that, we have become so curious that person will question hey, I want to just test and see. That is the first curiosity. Curiosity. Oh, I just want to test and see. We could try it, keke. Yes, could try it, keke. But then you are sinning. You are going against the laws of God. And God, if you are not careful, when He takes His spirits off you, you become empty. So now in Namia, I saw the bind bia new bind bia new because of our curiosity. Because of ye near ye such curiosities increases the likelihood that a person will take advantage of sexual opportunities, especially when they know they will not be caught. So then, yes, but the consequences will come. Uncontrolled fantasies. Near fantasize about, especially young, tall, and like that one. And so that's a quatintin be with my now I fall flat. And then you want to satisfy this fantasy. And also so you're there. Now creating and there. Uncontrolled fantasies. We fantasize it about, like, I didn't know fantasizing about some crown. What do you want? Eh? So research has indicated that about 90% of males and 50% of females engage in sexual fantasies. Yes. In the what's the name? Sexual fantasies arouses and often occurs before and during intercourse. So what's the one I would drink in your crown? Hey boy, dear. Boy dear, and a boy dear. It's one shin ye mistake. Yes, and ye mistake. Yakup didn't be Gina when him pay no one falling. Then you allow him to do whatever he wants with you. Do not. Well, it's good having this sense of about your boyfriend, but hey, my lady, calm down. Some fantasies are not in fact it's not healthy. And no ne ma ye ko nneoma bebre mu a ye mpese ye bekom. Ewi a na ya regret. Na ya regret ewi no kran we still go back doing the same thing. We watch erotic movies, pornographic materials. Arouse the senses and the makeup of our being na ye press ye kondo se or si ye name mema ye bibi. Does it help us when we watch these movies? Ono na na say sa love movies na wo hwe no. One, ask yourself, does it help you? No, it doesn't. I'm a lady. I've gone past that. So Usha can a Korea series in Usha then Uda say, it's a son why you're lucky now, boy, and a boy, and a you can imagine what you do. My sister, reduce the watching of these movies and avoid porno. Avoid porno. Yeah, the preventive measures in the Abishishin. Avoid it. It is not helping us. Because cry. And remember, it is not only sex, like the acts of engaging, sexual activities. Sexual activities. Now, how who enjoy just because of watching that. It is not good. When fantasy is frequent and lustful, premarital sex is likely given the opportunity. Yes, when fantasy is frequent and lustful, premarital sex is likely given the opportunity. Yes. The way it's unless you don't have the means. Unless, of course, you do not have the means. But if the means is there, master, you fall. So let's avoid it. And some people, because of low self-esteem or even searching for identity, a young lady searching for identity and self-esteem will stoop so low as to sleeping with a man just to or yes I know or yes I knew no who say why your bar or your bar. Many people have issues with inferiority complex. Yes, they feel inferior. So most men know what now they do is if a young lady is not aware of herself, self-awareness, if the values no hold no, if on values she feels inferior, like the guys know who san pet no more the bear point I won't the real son of the real no crown and to the extent some guys say some people even use sex as a form of affirming their love for their loved ones. How is this possible? Young person, you are not married. Why do you use sex to affirm your love for your boyfriend? Like how? Do you need that we are nature say my dog do. No, it is not like that. Because of inferiority complex, insignificance. What Obana don't you see yourself as a dear. Masa, madam. Obi a wo ye Nyankopon last born de. Nka last born de ti de na wo ye inferior. Ah. Enya me ntia se kra like go ba pa na o si me ye oba. Na be ma no di wechi o. The who ye last born Nyankopon akoma down. Na kuma down tinka umpo na nka wo de wo ye superior like esteem no ye high. But you see ladies belittling themselves for guys just because of low self-esteem. And sometimes I do not think it's they do not know themselves. They do not know themselves. They feel very insecure. As a man na anya obejai mi o. Hey, man na anya oni obi fofo be kwa akoyi o. Sister, oye nyame. Now, how will you even know? Say one in the year, only obi fofo nsan koyi. And how will you even know? Say one in the year, on jaw. Okay, it is only in the year so no jaw so. No idea. One in the year, no jaw so. It is better not to do it into ojawa. Me lose shame. My dear is intact. And I tell you, guys who do that, unless of course say a mistake, no, na mistake no cry no say another for. But obi okoswa ka say yenye ne de my sister. Run for your life. Run for your life. To search people, sex gives them, those who have this low self-esteem, it gives them some bits as a sense of value, sense of belonging, sense of meaning and acceptance. How can sex? Hey. So who have a sex with him, and when a man will feel it, it is not true. However, the passing nature of premarital sex only increases our misery. Yes, it increases our misery if you don't know. The guilt alone, especially Christian women, the guilt alone, unless of course you wow, Christian papa. The guilt alone, madam, it will kill you. You become so miserable that sorry cry, cry. This is when you're doing and you're sorry. Now cry, who cry now? I'm just now you're also no more uswaswa. But look at the misery you are in. Because then become loneliness. When the guys get their way with you, that is the ultimate. It's the ultimate goal. Yes. And they've gotten it. Why do we marry? We marry for sex. Even though there are things other, but it's sex. Now sex, nanti amebe wara na mikra menye. So what is there again? You become then they no more jaw. Omunja, I'm in a relationship. I ever saw they be at this all the sex compatible. Aye, that is the extent it has gotten to. If you compromise on it once, you have to use it to always compensate for your yes. Become very lonely, even though you are in a relationship. If you give a fair judgment of, you just try and sit down and analyze yourself and see, you become very lonely and insignificant. Yes. Remember no money, yes or no. What the way they treat you, no, you become very insignificant. One kasa and then the others too. So why give yourself this pressure? Why give yourself this when you can abstain and then you hate it when you are married due to the inability to satisfy this inner yearning for some genuine relationship. People naturally jump from one sex partner to another. Yes, usadeɛ no, who enter into it and who capacity. If you are not careful and this your partner is not satisfying you well, sadeɛ no what try so who the diet here, and this person is not giving you the, so you leave and you go to the next person. And also, sir, you leave, you go to the next person. Hey, those are now sexual sex partners. Bebre, those are sorry, no boy. Anyway. They forget that the hole in their hearts is not for sex, or it's not a sex-shaped hole, but it's a God-shaped hole. Sakuma ne yɛda yɛn mu no, Nyankopɔn, ɛsɛ ma Yesu ntena yɛn akoma mu. Ɛsɛ adwuma Yesu ntena yɛn akoma mu ne yɛto. Meanwhile, that akoma ne yɛda yɛn mu no, nye Nyankopɔn akoma mu. Ɛyɛ sex. That God, small God sex, is what is in our hearts. We cannot control. Some also uses it as a means of escape. Yes, escape from boredom. So at the end of the day, oni obia sa ya yini adam fufu yi because ni ya bored santi unya be ma bia obe twu adwene then obi so ha here just to escape from boredom. And some people also use it as a form of rebelling against authority. As a woman, me ayo bibi na person uchi aneka. Osi enye we mekwa akoye, na akoye. One ayo. And some also think it's a declaration of independence. Is it so? No. What is an independent woman? What makes a woman an independent woman? Is it sex? No. And then we have this distorted thought or thinking about sex. Negative sexual experiences in the past has made people worship this God as if rape, maybe someone raped her into a man is sexual urge, and that is if you these sciences they will tell you it's a man unya sa urge, and will you allow that to always sit on you for you to worship this small God? So Nyankopon spirit feel so. How can Christian women escape or navigate their ways through these pressures or this temptation? What I can say is the first one is let's avoid situations that may lead or lead us to temptations. Let us avoid watching these movies. Avoid creating situations. Why you say boy yeah about them way? Only ono, only mo share them ho. My sister, can't you say kwasra na kasa abra? Bibi me wono when na me ban the kwan wa medu wona ade asantu de shia me halfway. No. Halfway near here, me na me tin. Here di enkomo. Why do you think people are able to stay in long distance? So, ukwasra no kwa na ukwasra no one dem kwa na mama relationship. No. You can meet outside. Now, even when you meet, Be mindful of the things you talk about. Be mindful of the movies. Akomomi enu no mbehwe eyi. Saa nkofo Titanic ni saa movies. Hey, wankofre saa asemi ma ho. Why will you? So let's avoid situations that may lead us to temptation. Do not tempt yourself. My sister, you know your capacity. So dear, my dear, we are weaker vessels. Yes, that is what. And our feelings are so much that, and in Namie, you saw your sacra near folly, you saw your honey folly, you say, oh, Baby, oh, again, kakra, no one, honey. You know yourself. Self awareness is good. So, if you know this, why then? And try and so some dresser and so some. Do not tempt yourself. Do not tempt yourself. Now for obi bouncing kotumusun. Because sometimes the guy is so strong that on him so already on folly. But I tell you, and in any name, only wine cry, you will fall. So just avoid that. Find accountability with trustworthy friends. So what that way dear, sir, you know, so. And fan now for almost so nipa so. I didn't know your name yet. Not say, oh, dear, what you do, and a year, dear, and that friend will not help you. Until now, walk with your dear and see, dear, near see, no. Anyway, you do. Avoid such friends, they will damage you. Avoid such friends, they will damage you. Look for friends who are very accountable and then trustworthy. If you are put a bonina short weakness nearby yet, now by any day. But what fallen one? You've asked God for forgiveness. Now I see you. My sister, look for a critical friend. Look for a critical friend. Let her or him or her always assess your life. Why only some are down for you? Me quite could do wabo say hey, okay, dear. Some okay, dear. Oh, yes, sure. Like, I'm putting you on your toes. Look for such friends. And then focus on God's truths and His promises. Some people use sex to sway them away from their destiny. Yes. Oh, yeah, Yakupon in any free so. I'm not you. Yakupon. Oh, see, I hate fornication. I didn't Yakupon see what you did. I didn't know or rewarding. Ah, I didn't Yakupon see what you did. I didn't know reward. So focus on God's truth. This is what God says. This is what God says premarital sex is. This is what God means about warnings. Also say Debbie. Please focus on God's truth and His promises. Do not allow anybody to sway you away with sex from your destiny. Because oh yeah, you go be in a near fruit so. Pray for strength and wisdom. Pray for strength and wisdom. James 1:5. Pray for strength and wisdom. How you maneuver your ways and flee. Ladies, we know, we see. But yeah, wasn't are falling. You see it. Oh yeah. Now call. Flee. As Joseph fled. What do have Joseph 2 minute free my meaning? One year fast and he even left his garments with the woman. And no call ye. Call be falling. He was so handsome that this woman couldn't take her eyes off him. And not tempting, but Joseph saw. Say, Manshenia, they're better many yet. So, intent them na move. A man in that doubt, you can't use sex to affirm the love you have for your. Run away. Jawa mani jaw. Who told you say no one was so worried? Who even said so no one was so worried? Flee. Yes, you ran away. Flee. Flee. To American Casa. To America, just say. To America. Na kachira ohu anase boy and say, how can I commit this outrageous sin against my God? How can I commit this sin against my God? Have this firm belief. Value your values. Do not compromise on your values. Hold it firm. That is what will make you. Now the ojeja over na unenam ho no bia ba oh sister cause. Nena no ko. What does the Bible really say about sex before marriage? Yankopon clearly condemns it. And the Bible clearly condemns sexual sins. 1 Corinthians 7:2. It says, but since sexual immorality is occurring, each man should have sexual relations with his own wife. And each woman with her own husband. Is the guy you are doing that thing with your husband? Is he your husband? So the Bible clear, mean to say any Bible it is a Bible more. It won't. You therefore have to have sexual relations with your own husband, not somebody's husband, not your boyfriend, not your or we say ya courtier do aka 1 month maya warranty. Aka 1 month mama warranty you can have sex. Is he your husband? No. Aka 1 day mpomo wa warranty. He's not your husband. God is clearly stating here that you only have sexual relations. Only obin da. And na say only pema bin sex on your be. Only when the person is your husband. Sini pakoni ukunkuto. Enye obi ane ni cohabito. Enye obi osama kotimi trins until no, your husband, someone who has paid your dowry, someone who has married you. So the Bible condemns it. God does not permit premarital sex. It is not any Bible baby auntie ama we are sleeping around left, right. It is not done anywhere. And here, marriage is being presented here as the only cure for sexual immorality. Marriage. So what worry nunku toho. And I'm moving to me, sir. Sex, your man, dear. And phone your boyfriend who be a yankupon share. It is only in marriage that any opa monswa. It is only in marriage. Some stars in the same, some say, some how many times, madam? It is not in your place to do it now. you are to do it, God is saying, do it with only your husband. So it is only when you are married that you are permitted to do it. God is against premarital sex. Guard your heart against it. Else, the Spirit of God will take His Spirit off you. How do we promote or cultivate healthy sexual and sexuality? As a nyankopon na onim nipa no so no na boy enti onim yebusu ne yesa so. So when it comes to this sexuality, like such things, it matters so much to God. It matters so much to God. No be also, yeah, the body is the temple of God. Can you imagine? He's so jealous that he does not permit you worshiping any other God. Now they also when you have to the do person will sum Yankopon san sum sa God. Is it possible? God is so much into our sexual matters that senior no yes, sexuality matter to us. The same way he or expect to say yes, so it should matter to us, and that he should be in our hearts and not sex. God's plan for sex is designed for our benefits. Sex, God designed sex for our own benefit, healing, healthy, almost like you're able to do a whole. But this is the case of what we are calling. Say, my sister, sex. God designed sex for our own benefits. He didn't design it to 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 dampen our like so or they how no a how piano it shouldn't be like that. If only you do it with your husband. Let us not provoke God. He hates sexual sins. Sex before marriage isn't good. Kindly stay away from bad companies. When you say boy, they be on your banny, my sister, you are not safe. Leave him. Leave him. He is not the only man on earth. That is the problem with young ladies. That is the problem with young ladies. I say we are the ex in the one basket. Boy, any jammy a mewu. Ubewu. Ono ne ye unyame. God is Yakupon plans be premaye. And his promises are true. Yakupon asama waka bia ebem. Eye ho. Ne waka fa ho bia. It will come to pass. If only you don't compromise on your own. I dare not say yes, yeah. Oh yeah, you will get the corresponding reward. Yes. But if you go contrary to it, you also get your reward. God is just. He pays every deed that we do. He pays yes. So if you really want to enjoy his promise, like to live to your he condemns sex before marriage. If the society now is saying sex before marriage is right, the Bible or God hasn't changed. God hasn't changed. He's still the same. He will always be the same. His words are true. His words will always remain the same. He hasn't changed. God condemns sexual sins. Do not compromise on your values. Do not compromise on your values. God designed sex to be enjoyed, but He also placed limits around sexual behaviors. He designed sex to be enjoyed, but He also placed limits around it. Choose purity. Choose purity and flee from sexual sins. And flee from sexual sins for your own good. God's promises are true, and it's definitely come to pass. Do not let any guy tempt you to go against God. You cannot fight God. Do not allow any guy. Some even use sex as a means of or penny school fees. Person me learning trade. Person me ye way. Onya ska na be man se bra me no onye na me my sister. If it is not today, it can be done the next day. It is a ne or say it is or don't yan sana. Madam, move on. You move. You might get somebody ahead who will give you such help without asking for this. That one person shouldn't be your last stop. God is only our last stop. No, see only no, madam don't let that person limit you. Emma sani pane ma destiny in kaho. Move on. As long as you move, you meet your help. You get your helper. Choose purity. Stay focused. Guy no, a man you see sex in fan that house say me no one da me waro. Onye nyame o. How will you know so no that obe waro? Sex isn't acceptable to God. Sex before marriage, to lose that guy now than to lose the Holy Spirit or God's Spirit on you. It is better to lose that person than to lose God's Spirit in your life. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Continue to watch Spotlight on the Web for more insight in God's will. Thank you very much.